Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Could be an afternoon where you are as well. My name is Chad Tibbets. I'm a training specialist with Asa Abloy Academy, and today's topic for our virtual instructor-led training is on Sargent door closers. We're going to get into an overview of the Sargent door closer offering, as well as some arms that are available with each of the door closers, talk a little bit about the application for those arms, some features and benefits of all of the closers today. Today is a very high-level overview. We'll have you here for 45, 50 minutes or so. And at the end of this presentation, I want to get through and show you some of the digital tools offered by Asa Abloy that can help you do your job or help you find information, whether you need them on Sargent product or you need them on any of the Asa Abloy DSS brands that we have here in North America. So let's, I want to remind you of a couple things before we get started. One, again, thanks for joining this VILT. This is a platform that we started using when we went into lockdown. We're still in lockdown as far as not being able to travel, but that doesn't mean that as a group, as an Asa Abloy Academy group, that we can't do custom trainings for you and your customers. Just reach out to us and we'll try to help you out with that. We've done everything from helping end users pen cylinders via Zoom, as well as show how to program and install low energy operators. So please reach out to us as a group if we can help you in this crazy time. Also, once you're at our website and you're checking out those 2 to 3 weeks of VILT classes that are scheduled, you can also sign up for our online academy. That's a little bit different than what we're doing here. We have over 50 online courses that are everywhere from 25 minutes long to an hour and a half long that cover very, very basic entry-level door and hardware courses all the way up to advanced fire code. And if you're really confused on which courses to take first because you're new to the industry, we've also put all of those courses and broken them up into individual buckets, and you can find that on our website. And it's just, again, a recommendation of what you would take first if it's the first time that you're on our website. This session is being recorded, so you guys can share it with people that were not able to make the presentation today. Or if you missed something that was said or you have to leave, you can find this on our website, click on virtual instructor led training or Asa Abloy Academy webinars, and then you can look at the previously recorded sessions tab and get to, right now there's over 160 recorded sessions that we've put online that you guys can download and watch again. Also, there is a Q&A feature built into Zoom. That is how you guys communicate to us through this presentation. I will leave some time at the end of this to answer any questions that I can. If I can't answer them today, then we'll send you an email directly helping you out as much as we can. If you raise your hand during the presentation, that's not something that I can control. I can't unmute you. So rather than raising your hand, just put us a question in that Q&A and we'll definitely make time to get to that. So Sargent door closers. Sargent makes several different series of door closers. We're going to go into each of them today, but we make so many because there are so many different uses and applications. How much durability do you need? How much use is the door getting? How big is the door? What does it weigh? What is the degree of angle that that door needs to open? Does it have specialty hinges? Is it hung on pivots? All of these things kind of play into the type of door closers that you recommend to a customer or the type of door closer we're going to put on a project. So starting off with the bottom left corner of the chart that you see there in front of you, the 1130. This is an ANSI BHMA grade 1. It's an all aluminum construction. this is a retrofit for many import and also domestic door closers that are out there, including the Norton 1600, the Dorma 8600, and then there's a huge other list of models that are out there that this door closer would replace. Oftentimes, we're going to see this door closer on aluminum storefront. We'll see it on hotel doors, doors that are lightweight, that are not used continuously all day long. That's kind of the application we see this. The 1131 series is available with a non-hold open package, and basically means that you get an arm that will work parallel, top jam, and regular arm, and we'll talk a little bit more about those here in a little bit. And then it comes with a bracket so that you can take that arm that you would use regular or top jam and then also make it into a parallel. And we have this in a non-hold open, and we also have it in a hold open package. So same thing, the bracket there allows you to use the same arm that you would normally use for the top jam or the regular arm, and then convert it into a parallel. So a few other features, all of these door closers that we talk about today are going to be non-handed. That means they would work on a right hand or a left hand door. That does not necessarily mean, depending on the arm, that they would work both push and pull. Although most of the arms that we look at will, there are a few that you have to specify specifically push or pull, so pay attention to that. This is available adjustable size 1 through 6, and you're going to see that in a lot of these door closures that we go through, that they're adjustable in size from 1 to 6. Now, if you're new to door closers, that does not mean that that is the physical size of the door closer. That means that the door closer has a particular amount or a specific amount of strength where we can compress a spring built into that closer to handle higher winds, high abuse, heavier doors, larger doors, and size 1 through 6. They're going to come sized from the factory at a size 3, so kind of right there in the middle. And if you want that door to require less force to open, and you're not having any issue closing the door currently, then you can back that size adjustment down. And that goes for all of our closers that we're going to be talking about today. And if you want to increase the force, because again, you have maybe weather stripping, smoke seal, you're having some issues latching that hardware, then you can increase the power. You always need to consider the people that are going to be using that door. If we increase the power beyond a certain point, it's just going to make people, it's going to make it difficult for people to use the door. So always think about that. This closer is available in 2 finishes. The EB is a bronze enamel, so it's a painted finish. And then the EN is that aluminum enamel, again, a painted finish. Standard is without a cover. So if you want a cover, you do need to specify C as in Charlie at the end of your part number string. Going up on the line, up on the level just a little bit in our chart from earlier is the 1331 series. This is also a very common footprint, meaning that the whole mounting pattern is the exact same as a whole slew of other door closers out there. That just makes us competitive. If you're buying and you are buying an entire Sargent package, there may be some of those doors in your building that just don't get that much use and wouldn't benefit necessarily from a cast iron closer that we'll talk about in a little bit, or a Power Glide series. Perhaps you just need one that is going to be a little less use. Then the 1331 series is a good option for that. It is ANSI BHMA grade 1. It's a 1-piece aluminum body. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but whenever we say 1 piece, we're talking about the casting itself, and one piece is good because it cuts down on potential leak points that you could have. Now these are completely full of hydraulic fluid, an oil-based fluid, and if we can cut down on the potential leak points, they're just going to last longer. Piston diameter, that's the piston inside that controls that fluid movement inside the body. It has 1/8-inch valves. All of these things just add to the durability of that closer. It is 25-year warranty. This one does have zinc valves instead of brass. We'll talk a little bit about that as we go. Again, multi-sized 1 through 6, and all of these closers that we look at today are going to be non-handed. So today we're going to focus more on the Power Glide series because this is what kind of our bread and butter as our institutions out there, our healthcare, our university, our K through 12, they're going to use more of these extra heavy duty closers in their facilities than you would see the previous two we were talking about. And within that Power Glide series, what's really nice about it is that the arms, meaning that the arms that allow us to mount the closer, regular arm, top jam, or parallel, are pretty much interchangeable. There are a few exceptions to that, but for the most part, the arms are interchangeable, okay? And what that means for you is that when you're ordering, if you're ordering a 281 series, a 1431, or a 351, the way that you design that part number string is going to be very, very consistent. So like I said, this is a ANSI BHMA grade 1 door closer, 25-year warranty, and all of these closers within the Power Glide series are UL and CUL listed for use on fire doors. They come with a fully heat-treated rack and pinion. Again, that just ties to the durability of these closers. Heat treating the metal just keeps the metal from degrading as it's rolling inside, and you know, metal on metal is always something that is going to flake off. It's going to cause metal to degrade. So having them heat treated is awesome, especially since it's in that nice hydraulic oil bath. It just protects it for the length of the project or the building, and that's kind of the goal. This again speaks to the durability of this product. We have a full 1/2-inch arm engagement. That means that when the arm sits down onto the spindle, it's actually engaging a full 1/2 inch down, and that spindle itself is 7/16. I'm not going to go through all of competitor product and compare you know, apples to apples and apples to oranges on this, but it just speaks to the durability of the product. Sargent is obsessed with building product and designing product that will last. It doesn't do us any good if we put out a product and say that it's durable and then it doesn't last very long. So within this, we were talking in previous closers, they were 1.25 inch piston diameter. This is 1.5 inch piston diameter. It just means that it can handle more fluid, which really translates to more control. And that's the idea. We're trying to control a door. Doors can be a liability if they slam and hit somebody's fingers. So it's really important to, you know, match the closer and the durability to the door. Instead of zinc valves, zinc is a pretty good material, but it's not as a good of material as brass. Brass has been used for, well, a long time. It's a very, very durable material. It's easy to machine, and we use it on our keys. We use it on our cylinders, our mortise cylinders, our key and lever cylinders. All of them are made out of brass. Brass is a really durable material, so that's what we use on our valves. This next thing, we're going to show a quick video on exactly what the valves do. So if you're confused, or this may be the first time that you've ever actually seen the inside of a door closer, which is totally fine, we're going to show you a little cutaway animation of what those valves do, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back.
Here's the basics. Each time the door is opened, the closer arm turns a pinion, which moves a piston inside the fluid-filled chamber. The speed of the piston is controlled by fluid passing from one side of the closer to the other. The valve controls the speed. When the door reaches about 70 degrees open, oil begins flowing through the back check valve, gradually increasing the amount of pressure required to open the door farther. This cushioning effect is called the back check function. When the door is released, the stored energy in the spring pushes the piston back. The fluid is now routed through valves that control the closing speed of the door. The sweep speed valve meters the oil flow from wide open to within about 7 degrees of closed. The latch valve then takes over, controlling the last 7 to 10 degrees of the closing swing. The latch and sweep speed of the door can be increased or decreased to obtain the desired door motion.
So with most door closers, the standard valves that you're going to see are the, well, you're going to see the spring adjustment. You'll have a back check valve, a closing speed valve, and a latching speed valve. Okay, those are your most common that you're going to see. If you're looking at healthcare environments, oftentimes you will also see a DA valve or a delayed action. And all that does is once you open the door, let's say we open it to 90 degrees or 180 degrees, depending on what we have the door closer set to, the delayed action valve prevents that door closer from immediately closing. And we can adjust that time depending on the degree of angle, but that just gives people time to walk through with a bed, a gurney, a cart, something like that. So delayed action valves are definitely something that we see a lot in healthcare. It's not a standard. It is definitely an option that you can order, but the standard valves that you're going to see are the closer spring adjustment, because again, they're multi-sized 1 through 6. They come from the factory at a 3. You're going to see that back check valve. The back check valve is very important, making sure that if wind catches that door, or if somebody kicks that door or tries to swing it open very, very forcefully, the back check will cushion the closer and the arm and prevent some damage. You don't want that door smacking into a wall. Now, back check valve cannot replace the need for a wall stop, but the back check valve is there to help. Closing speed valve, like it said in the video, takes over once the door is at full open until it gets to about 12 degrees of close, and then the latching speed valve takes it from there, giving that where you can adjust just the latching speed in case you're having issues securing the hardware. Now, one of the things that makes Sargent unique from a lot of other competitors are pressure relief valves. We're going to watch a quick video and I'll talk a little bit more about that.
A city high-rise on a windy day, or school doors that children constantly force to close. In cases like these, extreme pressure builds up inside the closer body. With no way for the pressure to escape, that force can damage the closer, the door, the frame, and the mounting hardware. This is why our unique self-regulating pressure relief valves are so important. Under abusive conditions, the pressure relief valve on the end of the piston senses the extreme pressure and automatically meters the fluid to achieve more normal pressure levels. The self-regulating pressure relief valve cycles rapidly during extreme pressure events to maintain control of the door. Once normal pressures are achieved, the pressure relief valve is no longer active, but ready for the next time the closer is abused. By releasing this pressure, the valve acts as a shock absorber, preventing damage to the door closer, the mounting hardware, the frame, or the door itself.
So pressure relief valves, again, very unique to ASSA ABLOY. They are available with each of the PowerGlide series within Sargent. They're also available in a couple of our other closers from other DSS brands, but they're very, very unique in the door closer market. As far as I know, and I could be wrong about this unless something's changed recently, but we're the only ones that offer it. And I have seen specifications where they were written by somebody else, they were written by a competitor, and the specification for the door closers said that door closers must be without pressure relief valves. And I've had some end users and some distributors ask me, well, why would we want a door closer without pressure relief valves? And the answer is there is no reason why you wouldn't want them. They are there to protect your investment, which is your door, your frame, your hardware, also the people that are using the hardware. And where I grew up in West Texas, we would get straight line winds that would blow through town, sometimes 60 miles an hour out of nowhere. And I have actual evidence where I was working as a locksmith and we had a door, that door closer didn't have pressure relief valves. Wind caught the door, the arm held. It was a good arm and it was installed properly. The door closer held, and that pressure that's built up inside of that door closer has to go somewhere. And unfortunately, in that situation, the door closer exploded, the body itself exploded, and sent hydraulic fluid all over a department store, and also sent shrapnel everywhere. Now, that was an extreme case, but it does show that if we had had a pressure relief valve, I don't think that would have happened. It would have just metered the fluid, and you wouldn't have known. Pressure relief valve is not something that you have to reset. It meters itself, it resets itself immediately, and it doesn't affect your adjustment. It's not like, hey, we had an extreme wind event and we had to use the pressure relief valves and now we have to readjust the door closer. It's something that you wouldn't even know exists inside the door closer. It just makes them more durable. So I'm a big fan of those. You can also get, they're available with the architectural finished metal covers. They come standard with a high impact non-corrosive plastic cover. If you want the architectural finishes, then you do need to specify metal covers. You can also get them lead lined. We sell a lot of our products into the healthcare industry and world, so you're going to see that lead lined is definitely an option with most of our hardware where it would be required. For installation, and we're going to talk a little bit later about some of those OS Alloy resources that are available to you for free, but within the boxes, they come with self-sticking templates. They're paper templates that have double stick tape on them. It makes it easy for you to put that template on the frame or the door to align for your mounting holes, your bracket arm holes, and everything there. All-weather fluid, what that means is if you have extreme temperatures, it just lessens the effect that temperature has on the fluid. If you take honey for example, and throw it in the fridge versus putting it in the microwave, the viscosity of that honey is going to greatly change, and oil is no different. So an all-weather fluid just minimizes the effect that high temperatures and low temperatures have on the closer. If you have a closer that doesn't have all-weather fluid, you'll know it because the maintenance technicians, maintenance engineers are always having to adjust the door closers because of that temperature difference. They are available with the machine screws where you would drill and tap the door, also self-tapping screws for ease of installation. So let's get into some of the arms that are available for the three different types of mountings, your three most common types of mountings. Your standard arm, other brands call this regular arm. Sargent calls it a standard application. This is where the door closer is mounted on the pull side, closer itself is on the door, the arm is mounted to the frame, the arm sticks off of the frame 90 degrees. This is a very efficient way of closing a door. You're able to harness as much strength as possible within that door closer body. It is about 30% more efficient than parallel, but we have some issues potentially with this, vandalism being one of those, where people can hang on to that arm and bend it down. You also see people potentially hook devices around that in case of school lockdown or something like that. Don't ever recommend that, but you don't see this application very often in K through 12 schools or universities because it's unsightly, but also mainly because of that vandalism. The standard arm for this application is the O arm. It is a forged steel arm. It is adjustable. If you were going to specify that in an order, you have there on the left your main part number, your 351 closer, 281, or the 1431, followed by the arm, followed by the finish, and then you would tell us right hand or left hand. Even though in this application it's not handed, we still require that for the order. This permits 120-degree door opening with a standard mounting or with an alternative mounting. An alternative mounting means that in the instructions itself, it will tell you a couple of different, sometimes up to 4 or 5 different measurements where you can mount that door closer to get your desired opening, 120 degrees to 180. Or you could also do this with a corner bracket. Corner brackets actually mount to the frame up in the corner, and the door closer mounts to that. Good for corner brackets, arched doorways and things like that, you'll find. And then we also make retrofit plates when an end user is trying to not replace the door in the frame, but they're going with a Sargent closer, and that perhaps they had an LCN 4040 series closer. We have a retrofit plate where it mounts, the retrofit plate mounts to their mounting screws that are existing, and then the Sargent closer mounts to that. It just makes it to where the end user doesn't have to put another set of holes in the door, which just makes for a cleaner install. H is our hold open arm. We have a new design as of 2019, so previous design and then new design. New design has a screw that you can adjust where you want it to hold open, and the previous design you used a wrench to tighten the nut, and depending on how far you tightened that nut, you could adjust how far the door would open and then hold open. Moving on. If you have a low ceiling height, you may want this arm. This is the OLC. That's just where you have an inch and a quarter from the top, from the bottom of the frame all the way up to the ceiling. That would require a special arm, so just know that that exists. We also have these in a package where it's just your standard arm, which would be your UO, which U stands for universal, O stands for the O arm. Comes with your arm that would work standard and top jam, and then an extra bracket that you can use for parallel. As well as a UH. So U again, universal, H being hold open. Same thing, is designed to work with standard or top jam. Top jam as long as you don't have more than a 2-inch reveal. We'll talk about the importance of the reveal here in just a second. And again, just comes with a bracket where you can convert it to a parallel. So top jam is where we are on the push side of the door. And this is perfect for exterior applications where the door is very heavy. It gets a lot of use. Perhaps we have weather stripping. We have something that we just need extra force. We need that extra oomph that the door closer can give us. Top jam is a good application for that. So the door closer body, like in the picture, is mounted on the top jam. The bracket, the arm, is mounted on the door. We still have the same vandalism issues that we would have with a standard mount, but again, it is more efficient than parallel, which we get to in a minute. And there is a reveal distance. So that's the distance from the face of the frame where the door closer is mounted to the face of the door. If it's beyond a certain amount of reveal, then we have specialty arms for that. So if we look here, the OZ is for reveals from 2 1/8 inches to 5 inches, okay? And that is a non-hold open. If you wanted the hold open version of the exact same arm, then that's going to be an HZ, again, from 2 1/8 to 5 inches on that reveal. If we needed more than that, let's say we have a really wide frame and the reveal is more than that 5 inches, it's again something we have to pay attention to if we're going to be mounting anything top jam. That would be the OZA, A for just a little bit more, that's 5 1/8, all the way up to 8 inches for that reveal. And then just like the previous one, we have that available as well in a hold open version, which would be an HZA. Let's say that we've got a mounting where the frame is not tall enough for us to get the door closer mounted. We can do that with an accessory plate, and that plate would actually stick above the frame a little bit. Our door closer mounts to, because we just didn't have enough for the body of the door closer. So that's the 1 3/4 inch minimum on the frame though. And if we have a low ceiling height, that bracket would not actually sit above the frame, it would sit below the frame. Same application though, where we have a narrow frame profile and we still want to be able to mount it top jam. So let's talk about parallel. Parallel is probably the most common that you're going to see out there. It's because it's very sleek, aesthetically very pleasing. The arm does not stick into the room or the hallway or the corridor. The arm is actually parallel with the face of the door, thus parallel mounting. And there are more arms available for parallel than there are with the previous two. Again, it's probably the most common, but it's also the least efficient. Mounting that arm or having the pivot point of that arm so far away from the spindle, the pinion, reduces the amount of strength that that closer can have by about 30%, 25 to 30%. So that's something you have to consider when you're mounting parallel, especially if we mount it parallel where the door swings to its maximum degree of angle. That's going to put the closer body itself closer to the hinge. And anytime we mount a closer closer to the hinge, we get more degree of angle, but we lose in overall strength. So the P10 is their heavy duty forged arm. They are very heavy duty, very durable. We can do 120 degree open all the way up to that 180 for the alternative mounting. Again, if we use parallel and we mount it 180, that is going to be the weakest as far as the door closer. And that goes for all brands, not just talking about the Power Glide series here. That is all brands, every door closer out there. They just tend to get, they're weaker in a parallel mount. So we can do that in a non-hold open. We can also do it in a hold open. So if we're looking at part number strings and you're trying to figure this out, P would be parallel, H for hold open, and then their 10 for their heavy duty arm. So the P is again parallel. The S in this case is for a positive stop, means there's no cushion into it. The door would go to a certain point and then hit that positive stop and just go bang. You know, if we don't have the back check adjusted properly, then the arm can smack into that positive stop very forcefully. So we definitely need to make sure that we're adjusting the door closer appropriately. That positive stop you can see there in the picture, and if we look here, there's the positive stop, and that is non-handed. You just unscrew it and you can move it to the other side if you were going from a left hand to a right hand door or vice versa, just like that. We can also do the exact same arm with a hold open, and the hold open is adjustable for tension so that you can, depending on the weight of the door and also the power that we have the door closer adjusted to, we can adjust this for hold open. I do need to note though, when you're looking at any arm, I didn't say this earlier, but if you're not aware, any arm that has a hold open built into it is not approved for a fire rated opening, for a fire rated assembly. So we can't hold open a fire rated door unless it's tied in electronically to a fire alarm system, has the ability to close automatically on its own in the event of a fire, because we have to close and latch that door. So hold open, even a hold open that can be disengaged or turned off, is not allowed on an arm for a fire rated assembly. We also have a compression stop. The other one was a positive stop, so a hard stop. This one is a compression stop. I do recommend this one over the other if you were going to buy one of the other. This one has a piece of rubber built into this stop bracket here. Again, reversible, it's non-handed. They're just as easy to install, so installation is not an issue when it comes to that. The compression stop works from 85 degrees to 105 degrees, and there's a chart built into the door closer instructions telling you which one that you can actually, or what the measurement is to get your desired stop. And here it is reversed. Again, just like our positive stop, you can get the compression positive stop or compression stop parallel with a hold open built in as well. Same installation, the same installation instructions, all of that, same degrees of angle that you'll get out of the door, just now that we have the ability to hold the door open. For those facilities that may be light detention, maybe you have a holding area in a hospital for inmates, places like that, you can get this security arm, and the security arm is factory assembled, where the elbow and the movement joints of that arm are pinned together. They're not something that you can unscrew with a screwdriver, something like that. So for those applications, you find that this works really well. The standard parallel arm is the P9. It's adjustable. The PH9 is the same arm, but with a hold open. What I wanted to get to is this P3. This P3 is for if we're having a overhead concealed closer, not an overhead concealed closer, if we have an auxiliary stop holder on the door itself, and you can see here in this picture, that would interfere with a parallel arm if it was just a regular arm. So what this does is the bracket looks like somebody put it into a vise and bent it, although there aren't any teeth marks in it, but it works really great for being able to lower that door closer on the door to make room for that auxiliary holder or stop that's being applied. Now, things that you have to consider if the door is a full light, you know, if we have a really narrow style door, we have to think about that because that door closer is mounted to the door, and potentially now we could be mounting it over glass. So things that have to be coordinated. We do have drop plates that you can use and install it down lower, but just things that have to be thought about. If you have a transom frame, we also make this where we have a bracket that mounts to the transom itself instead of actually being underneath like a regular parallel arm. And I've got a picture of it here. So there's an example of where you might use it. Of course, in this application, doesn't look like they had a door closer at all. But if you were going to mount the door closer on this side, you'd need that specialty bracket in order to mount it. So we're going to get a little bit more into the individual Power Glide series for just a second. The 1431 BHMA grade 1 certified again, and this is a one-piece aluminum construction. It has a very high content of silicon built into that aluminum that adds to the wear resistance and durability of this aluminum. So not all aluminums are made equally. If you get out there in the world and you start looking at aluminum alloys, there are all kinds of different ones, and some of them call aircraft grade or whatever, but the aluminum they use on these are very, very durable. What I love about this particular door closer are the front facing valves. It makes it super easy to adjust, and the valves are, the information for what valve is what is actually embossed onto the door closer itself. So applications for this, really any institutional exterior and interior doors. We have a school district here in the Dallas area that exclusively uses the 1431. It's a very durable closer. Again, arms are interchangeable between the other Paraglides in the series. The 351 is another cast aluminum door closer. This is a little bit different design, very durable. Also have several school districts in the area that are using the 351. If somebody were to ask me the durability or the use difference between the 1431 and the 351, I don't really have a good answer, but some districts prefer this one over the other, or the other one over this one. Same applications that we saw for the previous one are perfect for this closer as well. And there are some facilities that really like cast iron door closers. So the 281 is our cast iron door closer. There are arguments to be made that cast iron is a more durable material than aluminum, but my argument and discussion to that is, well, you know, Ferraris and BMW engines are made out of aluminum, but cast iron is also a very durable material. Difference between this cast iron material or this closer versus some of our competitors that have a cast iron is this is a one-piece cast. So that just means that there are less leak points, potential leak points for oil, adding to the longevity of this particular closer. This is a very, very heavy duty closer. It's very heavy in weight as well, which is why we supply this one with a bracket. If you see here, this is the bracket that the installer actually mounts first, and then the door closer mounts to that. I prefer this if I'm just having to install a bunch of them. The bracket mount is really awesome for being able to put that up there and easily mark your holes, making sure they line up properly to the template. Mount that first and then mount the door closer to it. So I'm going to talk, these were all rack and pinion door closers. These are all rack and pinion door closers, which is basically the standard in the industry. But I want to talk for a second about some interesting applications where a different type of technology we use for those. And what I'm talking about is when we really need to meet ADA, which is the Americans with Disabilities Act, and we're having a hard time doing that for the opening force, right? So if you've been in the industry for a while, you've probably been where they had to inspect all the doors and they take a force gauge and they either pull on the handle on the outside of the door or they push it with a little force gauge. And if it's an interior non-fire rated door, in some applications, they have to be down at that 5 pound or less. And that's really hard to do, and also get the door to close and latch. ADA also talks about the closing speed from the 90-degree point to the 12-degree point. It's a minimum of 5 seconds, which, you know, all of the door closers out there, we can adjust them to that. But if we slow a door closer down to that speed, sometimes it won't latch, right? So what we have here is the 422 series, and this is a cam action door closer. So we watched a little bit of video earlier showing you what a rack and pinion closer looks like, but this is a cam action. And you'll see here we have this kind of a teardrop shaped cam that's lobed, just like what you would have in your car. We have two pistons here that have rollers, so it just makes for a super efficient door closer. We're going to watch a quick video explaining how this works and why we designed it.
The Sargent 421 Cam Action Door Closer features a revolutionary design that combines the aesthetics of a track-type closer with superior performance. Our cam action closers are incredibly efficient. The secret is this unique cam assembly. Closing forces are applied to the spindle through the continuously smooth surface of the cam and roller bearing follower. The combination of the piston and cam design greatly increases efficiency. The results are astonishing. On doors equipped with cam action closers, the strength required to pull the door open remains easy throughout the entire opening range. On doors using a rack and pinion closer with a track, the effort required to open the door rises exponentially as the door is opened. There's also a difference in how each door will close. The cam action closer applies a consistent amount of force across the entire closing range, and the closing force actually rises at the last moment, right when the door needs extra force to set the latch. The force of a rack and pinion closer with track decreases as the door closes, providing the least amount of force at latch. Simply put, the Sargent 421 Cam Action Door Closer is the most efficient surface-mounted door closer on the market today. This means that a door equipped with this closer will feel light to open, yet still have plenty of power to overcome light stack pressure or other problems at latch. Sargent Cam Action Technology, combining the very best in aesthetics, performance, and innovation.
So the video is a little bit old. We used to call that cam action closer the 421. It is now the 422. We didn't change much when we went from one to the other, but just know it's not a typo on my slide. It is a 10-year warranty. It is ANSI BHMA grade 1, UL listed and CUL listed for use on fire doors. So the closer body itself is, we do the same as a push or a pull installation, but you do need to specify if it's going to be push or pull. And the reason why I say that is because this closer is not available in what we consider a traditional parallel or a top jam or a regular. It is track mounted only. Okay, track mounted only. So that's a definitely consideration that you need to make whenever you're specifying this particular closer. And the tracks themselves are available with a hold open feature or not. So again, very durable. They're great for giving the latching portion of the door closing a little bit extra force. And the latching portion is not included in the ADA force test because you have to unlatch the door first before you start testing how much force it takes to get that door to its full open position. So that's kind of how we can get away with it, but also just in the use. As you open this door up, if you have people that are in walkers or in wheelchairs, things like that, if you don't have automatic operators, then this is the best thing that you can have on the door before you go to a low energy auto operator for people that would fall into that ADA category. So as a quick summary, Sargent is really good about keeping things very consistent across all of their door closers. DA in this case is a prefix. That would be delayed action. The next comes the series of the closer, followed by the arm, the finish, the hand, and then if you have any other miscellaneous accessories, they would go there at the end. And this I wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about some of the digital tools that we have within Assa Abloy that help you find information right at your fingertips. And the first thing I want to talk about is the Assa Abloy customer support app. So whether you go to the Google Play Store or the App Store with iTunes, you can find this app. Just search Assa Abloy and look for the headset. That tells you that you're looking at the right app. It is completely free for you guys to use. I do want to show, I've got a few minutes before we're done with today's session. So what I'm going to do, I've got my iPad actually plugged in, and I'm going to show you exactly how this app works very quickly. Take me just a second to get my iPad switched over here. And if you haven't seen the way that this app works, I wish that it was available 15 years ago whenever I started into the industry. And it looks like it's not going to cooperate today. So let's just, I'm going to talk about it for a second here. Let me go back to my screen here. So the Assa Abloy customer support app, I'm sorry that my iPad is not cooperating today. What it does is there's 3 tabs. There's technical support, customer service, and resource center. And this is perfect for anybody that's out in the field, a project manager, a locksmith, an engineering tech, anybody that's out there working with our products or on our products. This is a must-have. It allows you to get to the Assa Abloy customer support team, gives you the phone numbers, and you can call directly from the app to any of our DSS brands. So not just Sargent, this works for all of our DSS brands within the US. You can voice call the tech rep and then stream video through your device to what you're working on. So let's say that we're working on something that we don't know what the model number is. That might be a good reason to stream a video to a tech rep, because they can look at it and say, oh, well, that's a 351 or that's a 1431. What can I help you with? If you're also doing something, maybe you're adjusting something and it's just not working, or maybe you don't quite know which adjustment point to go to, again, streaming video with the tech rep can help you. It's super valuable. You can send them an email. You can also chat with a tech rep. I'm not a big fan of chat personally. That's just my own thing. Not that it doesn't work, but I'm old-fashioned. I would much rather talk to somebody directly than chatting. But chatting does work good for asking the short questions. If you do need a paper trail, or you need proof of something that was said between you and a tech rep, or even a customer service person, then the email feature is kind of your go-to for that. One of the most useful things about this app is the resource center. That allows you to get to our digital catalogs as well as our digital libraries for all of our installation instructions, wiring diagrams, and templates for all of our product. And you can download those templates and those installation instructions with a PDF and have them on your phone to where you can pull them up and reference. And let's say you're walking a hospital and the general contractor is telling you that all of the door closers are bad. You've got 400 door closers and all of them aren't working properly. Well, it could be that they were not installed properly. So you can pull up the template right there on the app, take a tape measure with you, and make sure that the door closers are in the right position, because that can absolutely affect the way that they function. You can also get to our customer support teams and check on status of orders, ship dates, and so on. If you're working in an office on a desktop, you're probably not going to be using your iPad or your phone to use the Assa Abloy customer support app so much, but you can click on this. You can go to assabloydss.com to the resource center, and that'll take you to the exact same pages that you would come to on the app. Okay, so assabloydss.com. You can Google that if you want to. Go to the main web page. At the top is going to say resource center. You can click on that and get to all of the brands that you work with. So with that, I want to thank everybody so much for hanging with me during this presentation on door closers. If you have any questions, now is a good time to ask them. So I'll hang on for just a couple of minutes to see if you've got any questions. If not, again, please reach out to us if we can be of any use and help at all. Otherwise, if you don't have any questions, again, appreciate your time today. Hope everybody is safe and doing well in the midst of all of the crazy that is happening in the world. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.